One of the first times I'd gotten pulled over here in Pennsylvania was when I went through New Holland. I was on my motorcycle. It was my older one at the time, but I had 250 Hyosung GT, but I wanted to make sure I didn't kill myself, so I got a smaller bike.
I'm definitely glad you started out on a 250 though. I almost wish I started out on a 250 because learning on a 600 and learning on a 250, I feel like it's just like the handling is completely different. You learn different things that I probably don't even know.
I was driving down Main Street in New Holland with my muffler off, and it was very late at night. I probably should have picked a better road to be on considering I was in a residential area. Everyone wants to take their muffler off sometimes and just hear what their car sounds like. I mean, everyone,
Absolutely.
I feel like any genuine car guy may wonder at least what his car sounds like.
Every car I've owned, I've pulled the muffler off.
And bike and motorcycle.
Right,
it's inevitable. You have to pull it off sometimes. It was very loud. And
Unnecessarily loud. I thought a 250 would be quiet.
I understand why the officer pulled me over. It was because of my muffler being off. I had passed him and he pulled out right behind me and flipped his lights on and pulled me to the side. The only thing that I failed to mention in this story so far was that when I was driving my bike that night, I didn't have my motorcycle license or my motorcycle permit. In the state of Pennsylvania, to ride at night you need a license, and I didn't even have a license or a permit, so even if I had my permit, I wouldn't have been able to be driving at night anyways. The cop pulls me over, walks up, and he asks if I know why he pulled me over, so I said, well, it's probably because of the muffler. He was like, yeah, you were literally going like 20 miles an hour and it sounded like a Harley coming through here. Which, by the way, was not as loud as a Harley, so I don't understand why Harleys can go through there with their stuff, but I took my muffler off, and then it's kind of one of those things. Either way, he says, can I see your license and registration? So I looked down and I was like, this is where my night's gonna get worse. He said, why is that? And I looked at him and I said, I don't have a motorcycle permit or a motorcycle license. And I was like, okay, well, do you have a driver's license? Yeah, I got one of those. He said, okay. When I had gotten pulled over, it was a few months after I had moved to Pennsylvania from Colorado. So I still had my Colorado driver's license, right? So the officer said, the muffler's a problem. So I said, yeah, I know. And he said, your license is also a problem too. And I said, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I was just trying to get this thing home. I just wanted to, drive it from point A to point B. Yeah, I just bought it, and it actually wasn't even registered in my name either. The cop never asked me for my ID. So the cop goes back to his car. I'm waiting, and the cop's in his car doing his thing. I'm waiting for probably like 30 minutes. The cop comes back, and I'm sitting on my bike. He walks up to me, and he says, okay, Zach, and let me pause the story right there. Zach is not my name. Zach is someone I know who I bought the bike from. He still owned the bike. I never actually transferred the title because it was that new of a bike. Like, that's how recently I bought the bike. I didn't even have time to transfer it yet. It was a completely bad idea, all things considered, to pull the muffler off because it made me complete bait for this cop.
But it was a great idea.
But it was, and I don't regret a single action that I took. The cop walks up to me and says, hey, Zach. And I said, whoa, my name's not Zach. And he said, you're not Zach? No, I'm not Zach. Zach is the guy that owns this bike. Well, I just wrote a ticket for Zach. And I looked at him and I said, why did you write a ticket for Zach? Well, I looked at the license plate and I assumed you were Zach because you were riding the bike. But he never asked me for my license. He just assumed I was Zach because Zach's tags and registration was still on the bike. Are you following what I'm saying? So I clarify with this guy and I say, no, I'm Brent. Zach is the guy that owns this bike. And so by this point, the officer is completely frustrated and flustered up because he wrote a ticket for Zach. And he said, well, now I got to go back and unwrite the ticket and then rewrite you a ticket. And at this point, I'm wondering why the cop's going to any of this trouble to continue writing the ticket. I'm just causing him so much problems as it is, right? So I sit on my bike probably another 30 minutes after I gave him my ID.
Was
It took a while.
Was it cold or anything?
At that point, I don't think he cared very much because he was just annoyed at the whole situation at that point. He finally comes back to me a second time and he says, okay, Brent, I'm having trouble pulling up your name because you still have a Colorado license and you're not registered under Pennsylvania, which I guess makes it hard for them. So he said, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna write you the ticket later tonight and then you'll just get it in the mail later on. So this dude's literally gonna take time later tonight, a third time, to go ahead and attempt to write me this ticket. Well, it worked because I got it when he tried the third time, definitely.
Yeah.
Got that ticket
Shout out.
I didn't even get a ticket for not having my license. He actually gave me a ticket for the muffler. He was definitely doing me a favor though. After he was done talking to me, he said, I'm technically not supposed to let you ride away on this, but I'm gonna hop in my car and go that way, so... And then he just kind of walked away and left in the opposite direction. So I remember driving home and thinking, I wonder if the cop is gonna actually go and attempt to write this freaking ticket the third time. I respect the fact that he could make his decision to write a ticket, and I did pay that ticket off, so I'm good with the courts. So we hop in my 2001 Dodge Intrepid that I owned at the time and had rattle canned with a, good solid 10 cans of Plasti Dip. I had Colorado plates, I had a Colorado license, but we had to take my car because he didn't have a car. So we hop in my Intrepid and we take a little trip. We're in New Jersey, which is on the way to New York. We're on a state highway. There's a cop sitting on the right shoulder, and I'm aware that I'm about to pass this guy because I see him way up in the road. I'm in the right lane, so I'm going super slow. I really wasn't trying to have any problems, so I made it a point to get over into the right lane. We passed this cop. I look behind me, and the first thing I think, anytime someone passes a cop, their first thought is, I really hope he doesn't pull out. Absolutely. And when they pull out, you go to your second thought, I really freaking hope he's not coming for me. And I had two of those thoughts, but obviously he came for me and he pulled me over. So I was like, what is this guy gonna tell me that I did, and he's pulling me over? What is this guy stopping me for? I want to know. So he walks up to Tyson's window on the passenger side, right? Says, hey, do you have any idea how fast you were going? I said 65, because it's 65. I made it a point, because I saw this cop way up the road. I was like, we're not even going to make this an issue. Yeah. He said that I was speeding. He said he caught me going 85 in a 65. At this point, I'm like, okay, clearly I was not going 85 and a 65. He leaned up against my car and he asked if I painted my car, and I said yes, and then he laughed at it. Which, thinking about it, like we described, it was a pretty funny paint job because it was not good at all. It was done by we were amateurs. 16. It was my first car. It was one of the things that we did to have fun. So he says, hold on here a second. He goes back to his car, sits in there, we wait a little bit, and then he comes right on back and gives me a ticket. And he says, I'm gonna do you a favor and say you were going 75 and a 65. If I wasn't even speeding, and this guy's saying he's gonna do me a favor, why is he giving me a ticket? I paid the ticket, I'm fine. We continue going to New York. We make it there. Traffic's terrible because I found out when you live in New York, people in New York are afraid of nothing. They will die for anything.
They're constantly honking too.
Traffic
unnecessary
is bumper to bumper. I'm afraid for my life. I could walk faster than I could drive. So at this point, I don't know why we drove even in New York at all, but we finally make it to the Bronx in New York where this guy's at, right?
Can't find parking anywhere. Let's point that out.
We had to walk 4 blocks.
$6,000 in our pocket.
You New York people are probably like, you want 6 blocks? I freaking walk 14 blocks for breakfast. That's cool. That's cool.
We have to walk the 4 or 6 blocks to get to where this car is parked on the side of that road. I'm texting the guy to come out, and he finally pulls up in this black Mercedes. Everything's fine at first. Definitely there was a very big language barrier. He could not speak much English, so that was pretty difficult. So he finally comes out in the black Mercedes. We get to the side of the road after the 2-block test drive, and you and him walked. Walked to where the end of the test drive. That's how far it was.
Yeah, we literally walked down the street because we knew that he was just pulling up to this dude's house down the block.
We're looking at the car some more, listening. calling a couple people, like, you know, doing what we have to do to make sure we want to buy this car.
Hey guys, I think we can explain a little bit what happened there. We were recording and for some reason my GoPro just decided to stop recording in the middle and it cut right before we were finished. We're gonna continue the story because we ran out of time when we did it before. After Tyson pulled up, him and the seller started looking at the car again while I headed down the street about 6 blocks to my car. I go back to my car, I get the cash, and then I walk all the way back and give the cash to Tyson after counting it and confirming how much it was.
So everything checked out with the car, so we hopped into the seller's car and exchanged the cash in there just to be a little bit safer. We hopped out after exchanging the money, signed the title on the back of the 350, and then we take the plate off the back of the Z, we shake hands and we leave. Brent and I proceed to get into the Z and then put insurance on it. So I'm on the phone with Geico. We go to pull off. We have to pull off left and then like get into traffic and go straight. So we're sitting there with the left blinker on for like 2 or 3 minutes because
parked on the side of the road.
Yeah, in New York City, so there's so much traffic.
We get ready to pull out. We notice that there's a couple cars pulling up beside us and they immediately pull in front of us, right?
Dart in front of us.
Dart in front of us. Lights turn on and cops pop out of these cars. There were at least 6 cop cars there.
Yeah.
It was crazy. They were all blacked out, decked out, undercover cop cars. Undercover cops, they had their badges, their vests.
It was a straight stereotypical undercover New York City cop.
Oh, it was some NYPD stuff. They got out and we were like, what is going on? We didn't understand what was happening. They all surrounded us and just got out.
And then they immediately asked for the key. So I'm like, what? So I just like go for the key and I hand it to them and I'm like, what's going on? They questioned what we were doing. We were buying a car. That's it, literally. Then they pull us out of the car, search us, they search the car. They thought we were doing a drug deal in a stolen car because it had no plate on it.
That's what they told us.
Yeah.
They had told us that they were running an undercover operation on us for about 30 minutes. One of the cops took me to the back of the car while the other cop kept Tyson at the front of the car, right? Yeah. I think it was a good cop, bad cop thing, but I'm not exactly sure how that was working. I'm pretty sure I got the bad cop. I was being a little bit smart with him at first, and then eventually he just ended up searching me, turned me around, completely patted me down. So that's how that went.
Like the mean cop, whatever you want to call it, he searched the car and then we were both talking to like the nice cop at the back of the car. The mean cop searched the car. As we're standing there just talking, he walks up to us and he's like, so what's up with the gun in the back? No.
Instantly, Tyson and I look at each other, and the first thought that comes to our head is, we just bought a car with a gun in it that we were not aware of, and we missed the gun, and now we're going downtown and we're going to jail for the rest of our lives. It was so hard for them to believe that we were driving from Pennsylvania to New York to buy this car. It's a very common thing that happens with people over states. People drive from state to state to get cars. We even showed them the title. I just remember looking at the cop and being like, we literally came here from Pennsylvania this morning. You can check. I have a ticket on my from New Jersey this morning because it was the same day I got the ticket in New Jersey. I was like, check that. It checks out. So after that, they finally let us go, gave us all of our stuff back, and we got in our cars and tackled the nightmare that was New York traffic. We got home, and we actually got home without tags.
Didn't get pulled over one time.
Which is kind of funny because the cops said that we were going to get pulled over. Oh yeah, we guarantee you guys are going to get pulled over without tags.
It was hilarious. And I was like, my whole life, I've driven the car back without tags, the motorcycle back without what? It's normal, isn't it?
We had 2 cop encounters that day, and neither one of them were for things that we did.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you guys checking out our first story time, and we might have more of them, but let us know what you think in the comments below, and like it if you're all about it, and subscribe if you're more about it.
And share.
Exactly. Don't forget to hit that share button because we have more exciting news coming out soon. Big moves happening for Octane Plus right now, and we're excited to share with you guys. We got more coming out soon. So we'll talk to you guys later. Drive it like you stole it. Peace.